It landed and pierced Berg, but he couldn't complain long as pillars of fire were already rising from the ground. "He has your ice abilities as well," Layla said. "That's 3 abilities. Just how strong is Vorden really?" While using one hand to cast pillars of fire, the other hand would continue to throw ice spears. Berg could only dodge these 2 attacks for so long. "Come on, he has to be running out of MC soon," Berg said. Inside the black room, Rayton was busy laughing. "I bet you this guy thinks he can win the match as long as he waits for Syl to tire out." Right now, Vorden contained 3 abilities. Whenever he copied a person's ability, he also copied the amount of MC points in their body. Vorden's ability and cells were unique. As long as he had copied an ability, he would be able to change any of the MC cells into whatever type he wanted. This meant he had a huge amount of MC points to use. As the fight continued, Berg could tell that Vorden wasn't tiring out. He needed to act fast. Berg crouched into a fetal position and started to let the fire build up inside him. Then, when the attacks were right by his side, he expanded his limbs and out came a sphere of fire, getting rid of all of the attacks. But now, Berg was panting and sweating hard. It was a last-ditch effort to protect himself, but he really didn't know what to do after this. "Where is Quinn?" Syl asked as he walked over. Layla and Aaron were too far to hear any of the words Vorden had spoken, but were worried that he might do something drastic. "Crazy boy, I beg you don't do something crazy," Layla said. "Wait!" Vorden shouted. "Rayton was lying. Quinn is safe. He's somewhere else. Let me take over and I can show you." "You damn rat, Vorden!" Rayton shouted back. "Now I'm going to get my ass handed to me." "I'm tired," Syl said. Now Vorden had finally reached where Berg was standing. "I don't want to make an enemy of you, but you attacked us first," Vorden said. "I'm from the Blade family. It's probably best if our 2 families don't get into a confrontation with each other." As soon as Berg had heard Vorden's second name, he finally understood. The Blade family weren't as big as the Big Four, but that was because they chose not to be. They were a secretive family that didn't choose to have much influence in the world. Because of this, not many knew about them. Berg didn't really understand why, but his father had always said if he was to meet someone from the Blades, to show absolute respect. Berg placed his head in the ground and started to apologize. "I'm sorry. It's my fault that this all has happened. Is there anything I can do for you?" Vorden thought about it for a while. "It's okay, but I'm going to have you hand over your crystals you got today and yesterday over to us," Vorden said, smiling. "Of course." While Aaron, Layla, and the others watched this scene, they couldn't believe what was happening. They knew Vorden was an original. They even knew of his family name, but they had never heard of the Blade family before. But for some reason, someone from the Big Four was bowing down to him, apologizing, and even handing over their crystals. "Just who are you, Vorden?" Layla thought. Berg and his group handed over the crystals they had obtained inside a bag. Vorden now had a big grin on his face. Quinn had asked him to try to get as many winged lizard beast crystals as possible, saying he needed them for some reason. And right now in the bag, there were 39 winged lizard crystals in total. Walking over with a skip in his step, Vorden was over the moon about his haul. As Layla peeked inside the bag, she couldn't believe her eyes. "What? I don't understand," Layla said. "How?" "Don't worry about that. I think it's best if we head back and hand these crystals in to be counted towards our score." "But aren't those crystals useless?" Layla asked. "Most of them have already been counted." Each crystal inside had a unique pattern to it. When the crystals are counted, they are placed into a machine that assigns a certain code to each crystal. These unique codes are then added to the team's scoreboard. The whole shelter was under strict instructions to not sell any beast crystals to any students. This was to avoid a group from buying crystals and registering them under their points. But there was a reason why these unique codes were assigned to each team's codes. "Oh, I guess you guys don't know," Vorden said. "My brother did the same thing 2 years ago, so I have a little bit of insider information, I guess. Although the same crystals can no longer be registered for points, if the crystals belong to another team, the unique codes from their score will go into ours." This information was purposely kept from the students, but was told to a select few. Either originals like Vorden knew of it, or those who had already registered with the military. "Well, I hate to say it, but you did a really good job this time," Layla said while pouting. "Well, while we're ahead, why don't we keep on hunting?" Aaron asked. "The truth is, I'm worried about Peter. Because of this, he might be targeted," Vorden said. "If you knew about this, then why didn't we leave him at the shelter?" Aaron asked. "If we did, it would just be the same result. Perhaps even more so. People would attack him as soon as they saw him on the street." There was a second reason why Vorden and Quinn wanted to bring Peter along. They were hoping to draw out whoever Peter was afraid of. "No one would attack a fellow student like that. Are you crazy?" Aaron said. "Even if it meant getting their crystals, no human being would just attack another because of the test. And even so, people would rush over to help him." At that point, Vorden and Layla looked at each other, and both of them had the same thought. "Aaron, you do know that Peter is a level 1, right?" Vorden asked. "What does that have to do with anything?" she replied. It was as the two had thought. Aaron was unaware of the treatment that lower levels received compared to everyone else. Aaron herself never mistreated lower levels, but just never paid them any attention either. She had one goal, and getting to know them wouldn't allow her to achieve anything. As the three of them started to head back to where the well was, the two of them began to explain to Aaron just what happened at the school. "But the strong would never steal from the weak," Aaron said. "Just what does that prove? We already know we are stronger than them." Aaron just couldn't comprehend why certain people would choose to do such things. "Every person is different," Vorden replied. "Honestly, if we knew all the answers to why people acted a certain way, then perhaps we wouldn't be in the situation we are in right now." At that very moment, Vorden's fear was becoming a reality, as Ben and his group had just spotted Peter inside one of the buildings.
As Peter heard the footsteps enter the small little building he was in, he quickly realized that he had no way of escape. "Now this can be nice and easy for you," Ben said. "All we want are those crystals in your bag." As soon as Ben stepped forward, Peter lifted the earth pole towards Ben's face, and then using his ability, transformed the end of it into a sharp tip. "Please," Peter said, "let's not do this. I can't. If you take the crystals away, they'll hate me even more." Tears were now visibly running down his face and falling to the ground. Peter stood firmly, not allowing the spear to move. It was pointed at Ben. "Look, it's Peter, right?" Ben said. Suddenly, Peter's face changed a little when he heard his name. "Do you know why I know your name? We're part of the military too. In fact, Duke was the one who gave us all the information. I promise you that Duke will reward you if you hand those crystals over to us." Seeing the change in Peter's eyes, Ben thought his words were a success, but when he stepped forward again, Peter decided to go in for a stab. "I said I'm not letting anyone take them," he shouted. As the spear was thrust forward, one of Ben's friends from the side lifted his hand, and with it, an earth wall was placed between the two of them. The wall managed to catch the spear in the center and snap it in half. A few seconds later, a huge club had been swung and smashed the wall into pieces, also hitting Peter and sending him flying back. The blow was so powerful that Peter didn't just crash into the wall, but caused it to collapse and was now outside covered in rubble. "What a useless struggle. I would have thought someone like you would have been broken in by now," Ben said as he walked through the hole in the wall and stared at Peter on the ground. Peter was barely conscious. A small trail of blood was appearing from his mouth, and his whole face and hair were covered in debris from the wall. "Please, don't hate me," Peter said. "I'm sorry, Peter. This is just how the world is." At that moment, Peter passed out. Ben went through Peter's bag and took the 15 crystals that were obtained in yesterday's expedition. They then also took Peter's money card. They decided to leave everything else intact: the food pills, the water purifiers, and the first aid supplies. Ben and his friend had decided they would head to the shelter together, but before heading back, they would make a stop at the oasis to hunt some more teeth worms. As they were walking, one of them spotted something large and black in the sky coming toward them in their direction. "What is that?" one of them asked. "I don't know, I think it's a spaceship, but I've never seen one designed like that before," Ben replied. The black object drew closer, and it was roughly the same size as a large car. Then finally, just in front of them in the sandy desert, the ship had crashed. "Get out of the way!" Ben shouted. "Do you think they're okay?" "They're lucky the ship didn't blow up," he said. "I wonder what happened." But while Ben's friend had no clue what it was, Ben was visibly shaking with fear. He had seen images of one of these before. "Run! Run now!" Ben shouted. The sphere-like shape opened up, and out stepped what was known as a Dalki. Out on the sandy desert where the area was mostly covered with rocks and sand, one area looked different today. From the outside, it looked like a dark cloud that was continuously moving and shifting, creating a large dome-shaped space. "What is this?" one of the men said. The three from Ben's group were now surrounded by moving shadows. "Did you see his watch?" another one said. "He was actually level 6. We need to get out of here." Inside the shadow void, Quinn could feel a connection with the shadows. It was hard to explain, but it was as if it was created using a part of his own body. Quinn looked at his stats, and as the system had told him, everything was normal. There was no weakness in the sun. While Quinn was busy checking his stats, one of the men tried to make a break for it. He ran to the edge of the shadow void walls. Out of instinct, as Quinn saw this, he lifted his arm and started to shift the wall of the shadow into some type of arm. When the man was close enough, he tried swinging his dagger at the arm, but when it made contact, his arm started to slow down. They felt like they were trapped. "Screw this guy," Mohawk said. "You saw the number on his watch change, right? He's probably a fake, and besides, being a level 6 doesn't mean he has strong abilities." The other two, hearing Mohawk's words, gave them a bit of confidence. "Yeah, you're right, and he doesn't even have any beast gear," one of them said. "Get him!" Mohawk shouted. The crossbow user pulled out his bow and started to firebolt after bolting toward Quinn. "Shadow equip!" Shadow started to form around Quinn's arms and legs, and suddenly they were covered in beast gear. As the first bolt came towards him, he lifted his hand, deflecting the bolt onto the ground. "What? But that was a beast arrow. It wasn't just made out of metal," the crossbow user said. "Just keep firing the thing," Mohawk shouted. He did as ordered, and arrow bolts started to fire one after another. This time, as they came forward, the other user who had remained still had gathered what looked like a small hurricane in his hands, and then at the right moment, he brought his hands forward, and a gust of wind came out with it. "Let's see you deal with this." Blood spray. 55 of 60 HP. A spray of blood left the palm of his hands and knocked each of the arrows out of the air, causing them to break and fall to the ground. "Now it's my turn." Quinn activated his wind walk on his boots to further increase his speed. While doing so, he used the inspect skill on each one of them. The crossbow user could duplicate items, although each item that was duplicated would only be half the strength of the original. The other student was a wind ability user, and lastly, Mohawk was a level 4 earth user. First, the annoying one. With Quinn's added speed with the boots and his reflexes, it was nearly impossible for the crossbow user to hit him, and then, when Quinn was close enough, he cast out 4 blood swipes, swinging out his arms. With no defense, the 4 attacks each hit him dead in the chest, causing large cut wounds across his chest, and to be thrown onto the floor. 51 of 60 HP. Next was the earth user who was by his side. 1 second, Quinn was in his view. The next moment, Quinn had performed a flash step, and at the same time, hammer struck, dealing a blow right on the chest. His chest piece started to crack until it eventually broke away. 46 of 60 HP. Suddenly, a sharp pain was felt inside Quinn's back. As he turned around, he could see the wind user holding the small little daggers in between his fingers. "I got you," he said. He threw another dagger, and it came out too fast for him to react, hitting Quinn's stomach. 42 of 60 HP. Quinn then looked at the dagger and pulled it out of his body. As he did, the wound slowly started healing as the skin could be seen coming back together, until finally, there was nothing left apart from a hole in his military uniform. "You monster!" the student shouted. Continuously throwing blades, he managed to hit Quinn repeatedly. Making sure to cover his face with his hands, Quinn rushed forward, not caring for the small blades hitting his body. 38 of 60 HP. 34 of 60 HP. Without realizing it, the student was moving backwards out of fear. As he looked down around his waist, he could see the shadow wrapped around his body. "Now tell me, who sent you, and why did you attack me?" Quinn asked.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.